I'd like to invite you to imagine a 6-month-old baby. Let's call this baby James. James is living in a home environment which is unsafe. Both of his parents had traumatic childhoods themselves, and there is regular domestic violence between the parents, and both parents are misusing drugs and alcohol. So there are multiple and chronic experiences of trauma factors for James. So imagine James now in his cot, and James is a neglected baby, so he's been in his cot for a number of hours. It's winter and the window is open and James isn't wearing enough clothes. When the feeling of the cold air comes through and hits James's skin, he has a sensory experience. And his brain does what the brain does when facing threatening and frightening experiences. It logs the sensory experience of cold air as being a signal for danger. James hasn't been fed for hours and hours, and he has a horrible, agonizing pain in his stomach. That sensory experience of hunger is logged by his brain as a signal for danger. His nappy hasn't been changed for too long, and he has a sensation of dampness and stinging around his bottom. And again, his nervous system logs the sensation of dampness and pain as a signal for danger. And lastly for James, he can hear again and again the sound of banging, doors banging, things being thrown. And his nervous system logs the sound of banging and things being thrown as another indication of danger. So for James, these sensory experiences happen again and again and again. And what fires together, wires together. So over time, his nervous system becomes oversensitized to stress and super alert for any sensory signals that he is in danger. Now imagine James as an 8-year-old child, and he's sitting in his classroom doing a maths task. Imagine that it's winter and somebody opens the window and in comes a rush of cold air. James has a sensory experience of the cold air. His internal alarm system says to him, "Cold air, you're in danger, quick, do something to save yourself." So in this particular instance, James hits out at the child next to him. His fight response is activated, and this is seen in what appears to be an unprovoked attack on the child sitting next to him. Now imagine it's the lesson before lunch, and James starts to notice that sensation of hunger in his stomach. Again, his stress response system becomes activated, and it tells him there's a feeling of hunger, a sensation of pain, you're in danger. Quick, do something to save yourself. So in this particular moment, James goes into flight and he runs out of the classroom, finds the nearest table that he can hide under, curls up into a ball and sits frozen, unable to respond to any efforts of teachers to bring him out from under the table. James is outside, it's playtime and it starts to rain, so all the children are asked to come in. And James's clothes get a little bit damp, and again his stress response system is activated. Dampness means danger. So in this moment, James's stress response system throws him into a freeze response. The teacher is calling all the children in, and James just stands there. It looks as if he's not listening, or he's choosing to not comply, or he's in a daydream, and the teacher becomes frustrated because James isn't listening. And what's happening for James internally is that his survival response has been activated. He's gone into freeze and he cannot hear or process the information around him, which tells him actually what needs to happen right now is for him to go inside. I hope James's story here has helped to paint a picture of how a chronically traumatised child's behaviours might seem on the outside as unprovoked or intentionally non-compliant, But actually what's happening for them is that their sensory memories are being reactivated by relatively minor everyday experiences. What's important to also remember is that the child will not have any sense at all that their behaviour is as a result of having a sensory memory reactivated. So when a child is asked, why did you do that? Or what happened to result in you doing what you did? The child is very unlikely to be able to find words and make sense of what triggered their behaviour. And this then, very understandably, elicits a feeling of shame or confusion and loss, or a sense of somehow being deep down a bad or broken child. And then, of course, what we might see is the experience of shame in itself being a trigger for further dysregulated behaviour.